Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. Game 12 of the 2016 World Championship match in New York. White the champion Magnus Carlsen, black the challenger Sergey Karjakin. The score is 5.5, 5.5 and this is the last game of the match. Let's see what Carlsen did with the white pieces. He opened e4 and Karjakin opened e5. Every game in this match that went e4 had the reply e5. Knight f3, knight c6. Carlsen played bishop c4 in one game, but in all other games it was bishop b5, the Spanish, the Ruy Lopez. Knight f6, going for the Berlin, castling, and knight takes e4. Rook e1. Carlsen is not trying to play a anti-Berlin. He goes for one of the main lines. Knight d6, knight takes e5. Of course black cannot take that loose piece on b5, because then there is a discover check with knight takes c6, and after bishop e7 the queen is taken. That would be a big blunder. So bishop e7, and now the piece is threatened on b5, so it goes back to f1. Knight takes e5, rook takes e5, castling, d4, bishop f6, and you may remember, or otherwise you may want to look at game 3 of this match, where Carlsen played the rook back to e2, and the joke was that his rook had slipped out of his hand on its way to e1. This time Carlsen played the rook all the way back to e1 straight away. All theory this. Rook e8, bishop f4, rook takes, queen takes, more pieces are swapped, and if you want to win a pawn by bishop takes d4, then there is knight c3 with great compensation for white. He's much better developed than black. So Karjakin did not go for that. He played knight e8. His move is to develop quickly with d5 and then develop his pieces quickly. c3. Carlsen decides not to sacrifice the pawn on d4, which is also a theoretical variation with after knight c3. He protects with c3 and Karjakin plays d5, opening the diagonal for his bishop. Bishop d3 to take the f5 square away from the black bishop, and Karjakin played g6. Knight a3. In the studio, Grandmaster Judith Polgar expected white to play knight d2 and then maybe to f3 and e5, but Magnus chooses a different route for his knight. At this moment in the main broadcast, Carlsen's second, Peter Heine Nielsen, was interviewed. He said, yes, it's very solid, but Magnus is very good at getting a lot out of very little. This is the plan for today. And he also said that in 2010 Topalov tried very hard with the white pieces against Anand in their World Championship match at an equal score, and he tried too hard, went too far, and Anand won that game and the match. So he inclined that it was important for Carlsen not to push too much. Okay, knight a3, and here Karjakin played c6. And in the press conference he gave a variation. He said it's not so easy for black. It looks like a lot of pieces are being swapped, but it's not so easy. Black has to be precise. And he showed one line that instead, if he had played instead of c6 knight g7, which looks very logical, then it could be knight c2, bishop f5, bishop takes, knight e3, knight takes, queen takes. And this is almost the same position as we get in the game, with the difference that here white is clearly better. He's controlling the e-file. In the game there was the move c7, c6 played, and that is crucial because now black cannot contest the e-file with queen e7, because after queen takes, bishop takes, he loses a pawn on c7. And if he plays c6 here, then we have the position of the game, but crucially it's white to play here, while in the game it's black to play. So he said Carlsen did not just go for a drawing line, he definitely had to play, black had to play accurately to keep the balance. That was an interesting variation that Karjakin showed. So he played c6, accurate move, knight c2, knight g7 to bring bishop f5 into position, because the knight is also covering that square. Queen d2, bishop f5, bishop takes, knight e3, knight takes, queen takes, and now we can play queen e7, contesting the e-file, and the position is very equal. He had to play accurately, and he did. Carlsen swaps the queens and played rook e1. Interesting that Karjakin here played bishop f8. The move rook e8 is also perfectly fine, but he did not want to calculate any variations involving the pinned bishop on e7. He did it the simple way with bishop f8. King f1, f6, g4, king f7. At this stage, Fabiano Caruana, the American Grandmaster, was interviewed, and he said they are making automatic moves to reach the 30 moves so they can agree a draw. h3, Carlsen puts his pawns on light squares, so not on the squares of the bishop. That's important in an endgame to, if possible, put as many of your own pawns on the opposite color of your bishop so that your bishop will have more room to play, to maneuver. Rook e8, and the rooks are traded. King e2, king d7, king d3, king e6, a4, a6, f3, another pawn on a light square, and bishop e7. And after 35 minutes and 30 moves, the players shook hands and it was a draw. So we are going into the tiebreak. The drawing of lots already took place. I'll tell you more about the tiebreak in a second. Karjakin will have white in the first game of the tiebreak, which will be played on Wednesday the 30th of November, which is also Magnus Carlsen's birthday. What did the players say? Carlsen said, "I want to play a tiebreak. It will be nervous, but fun as well. There's not much to say about the game. Lots of pieces were chopped off and we made a draw. I apologize to the fans. I didn't feel today was a day to take any major chances. I'm not proud of today's game, but there will be a tiebreak which will be exciting. It is a trade-off." Karjakin said, "I played with black. I was playing my Berlin. He checked me in the opening, but it was my preparation and I played accurately. There were many interesting games in the match. If you don't look at this game, it was an interesting match." Magnus played a line that's not so easy for black. It was not just to make a draw. So Karjakin actually said that he didn't really believe that Carlsen had just gone out for a draw. He did test Karjakin in the opening. A few tweets from Grandmasters. Nigel Short, English Grandmaster, says, "If the 12th game of the World Championship were a restaurant dish, I would send it back to the chef." And another English Grandmaster, Simon Williams, said, "Good to know that they have a rest day, that they have a day to rest after this epic encounter." The tie breaks, there will be 4 games at 25 minutes and a 10-second increment. There will be, if a second tiebreak is needed, there will be matches of 2 games at 5 minutes and a 3-second increment, a maximum of 10 games. And if a third tiebreak is needed, they will go to Armageddon. 5 minutes for white, 4 minutes for black, and draw odds. If the game is a draw, then black is the world champion. This is the score, 6 points each. And as I said, the tiebreak will be played on Wednesday the 30th of November. Hope you liked the coverage of Game 12. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to my channel, and I'm looking forward to your comments. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.